had a break over the summer. I'm like, let me just give P Valley a try while I have the time. I'm gonna binge watch it. And I am so happy that I gave P Valley a try. That show is so amazing because it touches on so many different topics. Now, people have their pros and their cons about the show. However, you can't negate the fact that in that show it covered topics that really happen. Granted, the some of the scenes can be a little graphic and too much. That's about it. But however, everything they're covering, you know someone that can relate to that experience, or it's nothing unheard of. Or you may be going through a situation and know someone pertaining to that situation. So, how am I gonna start this review off? Like, I just know everyone emotions was all over the place from the last episode, and that's what inspired me to, like, you know what, I want to do a review on P Valley because of the last episode, Savage. But in that show, I'm like, oh my God, it talks about teen pregnancy, mental health as it relates to suicide. The show covers colorism throughout the scenes and episode. So it's so many things that we can touch on and discuss from P Valley. So I think maybe I'll go through it with starting with characters. And I did take some notes. So if you see me looking at my phone, it's because it's certain things that I make sure I didn't want to miss as it relates to some of the characters in the story, in the show. So I will start with Mercedes. Mercedes was a teen mom. She now works in a strip club and she's trying so hard to get her daughter back. And as we see that the father of her child is deceased, she's living with the stepmom. The stepmom is making it so hard for Mercedes to get her daughter back. Mercedes saved the money that she made from the strip club, but her mom used the money to get something, I guess, for her church. Miss Woodbine, Pastor Woodbine, I know she tripped me out. That lady is hilarious. Where the blessing reside, where the blessing reside. But so Mercedes, that covers teen mom, the relationship with her mom. Most teenage daughter, I'm not gonna say most, but some of us or some of you all can relate to that dynamic with your mom, their mother-daughter relationship. As you can see, their relationship is a little bit toxic. However, you can see that Mercedes still cries out and wants her mother love, despite of what people say. I know you may go through things with your mom, but every little girl yearns that relationship for their mom. Now, at some point, people cut it off because it got a little toxic, but they try like to make something better or the relationship better with their mother. So I like that they covered that. I would like to see how that relationship is going to end, because when they was tussling in front of that gym that Mercedes was going to get, and they both ended up in jail. Pastor Woodbine, I know she was out of control over that. But yeah, so Mercedes in the strip club, she's saving up her money. She wanted to open up a dance studio, and that was how she was able to see her daughter Mercedes. Now, however, it seemed like things are taking a turn because the stepmom, I forgot her name, Shell. Shell is from the last two episodes appears to be having a substance abuse problem, which is alcoholism. And every alcoholic at first thinks, I don't have a problem. When Mercedes saw all the wine bottles in her trash can, that's what Shell said, I don't have a problem. But Mercedes was driving a car when they had got pulled, and the police had to call Mercedes to come and get her. And then when Mercedes came to the house, so it appears that Shell has an alcohol problem. If I was Mercedes, I would be documenting all of this in case we have to go to court and I have to get my daughter back. I would write down every incident that happened, remember what day it was, and write it down. As far as seeing Shell laid out and drunk, I would be taking pictures. In work, I've learned, and from my mother, if you didn't document it, it don't count. So I would be getting all type of documentation to go fight Shell in court to get my daughter back. So, and again, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. So in the last episode, as I spoke about the teen pregnancy Mercedes was a teen mom. Now her daughter at the end came to her and showed her her pregnancy test, and she's pregnant. And when I looked at that, I was like, dang, Terica was crying out the whole time. Like this episode just, the last episode just made us realize how people be crying out, but we ignore the signs. Remember when she was calling her mom and she was like, "Hey mom, what you doing?" And that's when her mom was with Coach at Coach House, but she never got out what she wanted to say because as teenagers, sometimes you think adults don't understand or is their approach to things, especially your mom. You're about to tell her you're pregnant. I know there's fear there. There's confusion. There's so much going on, and your fears how they are going to react. So I just remember and reflected on a few times where I think it was once or twice where Terica reached out to her mother, but probably didn't know what to say or how to say it to her. But I remember that incident when she was at Coach House and she called her. So that's one aspect of it. Let's talk about the script club scene overall in the paint. So they really shed light. So I went over some of the dynamics of Mercedes, and I just talk about the script club culture of it's letting you all know that you probably thought, oh, the girls get all the money, so when it's script, you get the money. But I think you have to tip. You have to pay your tip and your portion. You see the lady in the dressing room making their clothes and different things like that. You see some of the women taking drugs, so you get to see the inside of the script club and what they actually go through. The next person I want to cover is Miss Mississippi. She's beautiful, but she doesn't believe it, and it goes back to her childhood being raised. I wouldn't say raised because it looked like maybe she moved in when she was a teenager or whatever with her stepmom, but her dad wasn't present. Stepmother was verbally and emotionally abusive. None of the guys in the school of our color, black, wanted her. They used to tease her. And this is how she met Derek. Derek was the first guy that showed her attention or made her feel beautiful. And I feel like she may maybe feel guilty because he got kicked out from his parents' house. And it seemed like Mississippi has to take care of him. She does all the work. So there may be some guilt on her behalf of why she put up with so much with Derek, or is because it's her child father. Most people want to work it out with their child father or the guilt from the past. But he showed her the attention. So with Mississippi, you see that she's getting abused. Not financially because she makes the money, but she's taking care of him, that's abuse. But the emotional abuse that she's accepting from him, the physical abuse. And it's so easy for people to say, why don't you leave? Why don't you leave? And sometimes they don't make it out when they try to leave. That's when they're more likely to get killed the most. I would say to that, recognize the signs, women. Sometimes the signs are there early on and people tend to ignore the signs. The jealousy, the possession. Every time you're going out with a friend or a family member, they want to know where you're going and who you're going with, and they're blowing up your phone the whole time that you're with someone. The emotional abuse, the put downs, because they want you to feel bad about themselves. And oftentimes women think that, I can change this person. They've been through so much. He experienced abuse from his father. So again, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Now he's abusing others. Not only is he abusing Miss Mississippi, he's also abused their child, and a doctor looked right over that. Like, where is CPS? No one called for that. But it's the different signs, and abuse is a cycle. When people try to interfere and help, sometimes that doesn't work. You see when Diamond tried to help, but she said that she didn't want him to kill him there or for Diamond to get in any trouble. And you notice sometimes people, family member or friends can talk to someone, but I think the best thing that you can do is to pray for that person and get them the help that they need to the best of your ability. Like, give them some resources, but at the same time, you have to protect yourself as well, because there was an incident this week where a situation and they end up killing him, and she left off with them. So the best thing is to stay out of it, pray for them and pray for them. But before it gets to that point, women and men and everybody overall just recognize these signs that people show and get out early while you can, before it get that far, before your feelings get tied in or the love get involved, and before the children, the signs are there, the possessiveness. Please pay attention to that. They use coercion, forcing you to have sex with them. They make you threats. They'll say they'll kill themselves. So I'm just throwing out some of the signs and symptoms of abuse and the cycle of abuse. But Mississippi's story is interesting, and it appears that she has no way out. And sometimes in that situation, some women feel hopeless. They don't make it out. But I pray she make it out this situation. So I love that part about P Valley. Speaking of Mississippi, let me see, was there anything else I wanted to cover about her? Okay, when she tried to escape, he cut the brakes. I feel like he had some type of wire or something on Miss Mississippi. Think about like the phone calls, and he like, who you on the phone with? Or when she tried to leave, the brakes was cut. Something was dealing with the brakes and she couldn't get away. I would have. Well, we would say what we would do until we are in that situation. But I would have tried to call or Uber, somebody, please come get me. I need to get out. But it's not as easy as it may seem. Who else story I want to cover on P Valley? That last episode was just amazing. Before I get to the big one that, you know, that has our emotions all over the place, I'll get to what my guy name is. Lil Murda, fine self. Say what you want, Lil Murda is fine. We didn't get into the background of Lil Murda story, but however, we know that he is in a three-way love affair. I'm thinking about Lucy's song. But between Big Teak and what my guy name is, the owner of the Pink, I can't even think, Uncle Clifford. He's in it with Uncle Clifford and Big Teak. So he wants to be with Clifford, but I don't think he's able to come out. He's a rapper. He may lose his audience. And then we get to the scene where the last two episodes, Big T comes in the picture. And we see that, okay, they had a close relationship or a friendship as we thought it were. Until we start watching the episode where they are lovers. And you can tell that, you know, they really love each other. And with Big T, we always looking like, you know, he frustrated, he always mad. I remember I was like, man, when T gonna leave? But when he left, I was like, God, not like that. I didn't mean it like that. But we always looked at him as angry. And anger is just only the tip of the iceberg. When he showed his story, his mother killed his siblings, and he's dealing with survival guilt because he felt like he got away, or I should have been dead with them. So he's dealing with survival guilt. When he went to prison for helping the murder, so maybe he was triggered by seeing someone abusive or on top of the murder, and he went to that place of a child and felt like, you know, he has to defend someone. And he has spent time in the prison, what they call the hole. And sometimes when you get sent to the hole in prison, that messes you up mentally as well. And society doesn't make it any better for some people once you get out. Seeing what he was seeing on the news, different black people dying at the hands of the cops, that made him even more angry. Again, he goes into protective mode. He said, I'm tired. And some people do really feel tired, exhausted, like I've been fighting my whole life. And that whole episode, he was foreshadowing. Think about when him and Lil Murda was like, you know, we're gonna have fun tomorrow. Something about tomorrow is that time. And he was like, no, tomorrow for you, but mine's end tonight. So I'm look up, you know, on my notes and see what I said for T. I just felt like, you know, he already had plans that day. And he was like, tonight, I'm going to see the light. Yeah, something about tonight, I'm going to see the light. And something else the murder told him, like, you know, I'm glad that you got your appetite back. Some of those are signs of depression, like loss of appetite, and for teens and men, it looked like anger or irritable mood as well. So symptoms look different in different people. PTSD. Big T was dealing with a lot. He was dealing with so much. So, and he just had his break at the end. Like, I can't take it no more. He went and got his hair cut. He went to eat with LaMurda. He talked about the situation of how LaMurda is playing his love for Clifford, and also, the episode prior when he found the postcard. So to know that the person that he loved is, you know, in love with someone else. So P Valley really has it going on, y'all, and I can't wait to the next episode. Another thing they cover is colorism in the show. When the girl, I think the guy called her lips. He talked about her features, and I can't think of her name. And another thing, when the guy asked her for the white girl or the light skinned lady that was on the pole, and she looked at, okay, all they look at me as sexual, but he about to please her, but want me to please him. And that got to her because she went in the car, and was crying, or looked like she was about to cry. And so the guy came up, and who was the savior again? A white guy, telling her how beautiful she is. But P Valley really, really has it going on. I just love the different mental health topics, the depression, the PTSD, where we looked at suicide, but all the signs was there before he actually had taken his life. And it's like, okay, what we could do about it? Being there for, like, what is the solutions to prevent if possible suicide? Recognizing the signs, normalizing it's okay to not to be okay. You remember when Clifford asked LaMurda, he sent him a postcard, how are you doing? Is he okay? LaMurda never replied up until the last day when Big T took his life, and he showed up on Clifford porch and was like, I'm not okay. So we have to normalize not being okay, talking about our emotion, going to that vulnerable space, and also just utilizing these different mental health resources. And in my show notes, I am going to put suicide prevention hotline and different things out there for you all. But most importantly, you can visit my website at www.prolificmywellness.com. It's not on there right now, but I'm going to also put up some resources that different people can go to depending on your mental health problems, align you all with resources of how you can go about getting that help. You can look for a therapist on Psychology Today, Therapy for Black Girl, but I will get in more details on that on the website and just on different episodes, because it is help out there. If you don't feel comfortable talking to a family member or a friend because the fear, of being judged, or I already talked to them about this before, they may not want to hear it. It's a safe place to talk to a therapist where somebody's judgment is unbiased. But you don't have to suffer in silence. It was a really, really big, heavy episode. They didn't come out with one this week, so it's given us a lot of time to process our different emotions. The thing that I like about P Valley is getting on Twitter and just seeing different people think pieces. Because what I did was, and what I won't do anymore, so I have to take care of my mental health. I won't watch P Valley when it comes on at 12, because these episodes is really heavy, and I know myself. It's hard for me to sleep once I have something on my mind and heavy. So I'm going to watch it in the morning. When I get up early in the morning, that's going to be my new thing. And I watch it more than once. Every time I watch it, I learn something new. And some of the things I wasn't aware of, Big T saying. If you get a thunderstorm, it is thundering, but that's not going to stop me from finishing this episode. But yeah, just when you watch something more than once, you just learn the different signs. You learn something new every episode. So shout out to Twitter. I love Twitter. And also YouTube, looking at different people opinions and thoughts and think pieces of the show. And I'm like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense. It feels like one big family at the bank. So I'm so glad that I joined. I'm so glad that I watch it. I love it. I'm tuned in. I can watch that episodes more than once. But I don't know, do I want to watch this last one? Because when he took his life away, it was so sad. I'm just glad they didn't show it. But when you saw when Lamar got out the car, you heard the gun or whatever. But overall, amazing, amazing episode. P Valley, I can't wait till the next episode come in. And it was amazing. Again, thanks for listening and tuning in. Thank you.